Today we are going to talk about why we need better sex education in schools. Most school systems do not understand the value that it is of having the appropriate resources available for students regarding their sexual education. This is why a lot of students end up making mistakes in their lives that they will regret instantly just because some older educators did not want to educate them in their sexual education. There's a lot of misinformation nowadays when it comes to this specific topic because educators don't want to be too explicit to teenagers, or they just don't want to promote sexual relationships at a young age. For some reason, they treat this as the most sensitive topic when it should be talked about more normally. And this is because most students have already had sexual relationships and they have not had an actual sex ed course. In my experience, when I was in middle school, I did not get informed about all the STIs or how easy it was to get unplanned pregnancies. And in my school, we just didn't have the specific resources that a lot of schools did have. And having school systems with inadequate information and resources for their students is the main issue, and they are impacted as well as their families. Therefore, I propose we look into the information that schools are teaching and start to promote an actual learning for them that could be a helpful curriculum and will serve them for their future. Now that we have talked about the issue at hand, we are going to talk about why sex education is significant. Sex education in schools is important in various ways, starting with prevention of sexually transmitted diseases, because this is an important issue, as well as the unplanned pregnancies, not just because students can get these easily and transmitted from person to person, but also because they can lead to damaging effects if they are not treated correctly. Based on the article by Elizabeth Boski published May 2nd, 2023, she says, sexual education in public schools aims to provide accessible, accurate, inclusive, and positive information to children and adolescents. The goal is to teach young people how to have healthy sexual relationships and avoid sexually transmitted diseases. That is important, and it can make a difference because, however they know the curriculum, they will choose what to do with that information. But if they are not getting that information, then it is not helpful for them whatsoever. In a way, this could keep students from getting pregnant at a young age and from getting STIs that can be very harmful. Okay. The problem with schools supposedly aiming for accessible and accurate sex education for the students is that schools are not being efficient, and there is data that shows that most states in the United States are not being mindful of what is being taught in sex education courses. Now that we have talked about one of the reasons why sex ed is significant, let's talk about what it is that schools are teaching instead of making sex education actually helpful. The education team from Planned Parenthood in 2020 emphasized that a lot of us have shame, stigma, maybe just in general discomfort around sexual health or our own sexuality, how we talk about it, and so education is so important to empower us to know ourselves. Because of this, and sex ed being a type of taboo, it is mainly pushed aside in various different school systems, and they end up preaching only abstinence because that is the old school type of teaching, and they don't realize that this method is not going to work because students sooner or later will take part in sexual relationships even though they're preaching not to do it because it is the safest form of contraceptive or just not having relations at all. But they're not teaching them how to deal with their problems after they have had it or how to efficiently take care of themselves, because this is important since it is a natural thing that they will all end up doing. Now that we have talked about the sex ed is a sensitive topic, we will now talk about how most students are not going to listen to abstinence only talks, and it is important that we make sure that they are safe. In an article by Natalie Blanton in 2019, she emphasized, although most of my students are already sexually active, most of them have not had a proper sex ed course. Nearly 750,000 teenagers in the United States will become pregnant this year, and half of the 20 million new cases of sexually transmitted diseases will be diagnosed in young people ages 15 to 24. Okay. These are some of the consequences that we get by not properly educating our students. And this is very common in the United States because of how it is ignored as a whole, and it's not really put into light all of the many issues that can lead from this situation. So sex education is not mandated in most states, so this is a huge issue. In most of the states, they don't even teach the 16 course curriculum, and the solution is to change the material that students are being taught and talk about the topic without it being a taboo. And it is important to reach out to PlannedParenthood.com and look up more information and statistics and how we can help to better the sex education for schools so that students are more engaged and they know what they are doing instead of messing up their future. Okay. Here's a quote. Sex education is essential to create healthy, self-knowledgeable, and reconciliation. Thank you.